I've been recently lucky enough to get my hands on the brand new Costco Kirkland signature driver. This is going to set you back $199 or £172. I personally don't think that's bad value. In fact, it's very good value, isn't it? In a time where the latest tailor-made driver might cost you over £500, the latest Callaway driver might cost you even more. But what would you do if you could go to a second-hand golf club, i.e. the guys at Golf Clubs for Cash, and spend around $199 on something second hand? That's exactly what I did the other day. We went to have a look around and see exactly what drivers we could get for around that price. If you want to see that video, I'll link it below. There were 5 or 6 really good options from all the top end brands: Cobra, Ping, Callaway, TaylorMade, even Titleist had a good few options. But we settled on this, the Callaway Rogue driver. Very similar looking, very similar in design, elongated head, weight at the back, adjustable neck on there, although the Callaway does have adjustable face angle as well as loft. But generally these drivers look very, very similar, and for a similar price I wanted to find out which one would perform best. So we're out here on the golf course today. I've also tested these clubs for numbers already, so make sure you stay tuned for that, because that's going to be very interesting for you. But we're going to go head to head on the final few holes here at Woolley Park Golf Club, because for me it's only important if a driver performs where it should do out here on the course. So we'll kick things off with the Costco driver, the Kirkland signature. The more I've tested this drive, the more impressed I've been with it, and I have to take my hat off to them, because the fact that you can go and do your big shop, you can get your ketchup, your toilet roll, even those massive hot dogs that they do, which are fantastic, but you can tell who's had too many of them. And then you can go and get a drive, you can go and get irons, which we've also got in the bag today as well. You can get wedges and a putter, and generally they have been performing pretty well, just like that shot there. That was a little bit bottomy, a little bit out the toe. One of the things I've found with this club is you do have to get it a little bit out the toe. For me personally, I suit a lower spin driver, so that kind of strike for me has been really, really good. Ideally a little bit higher, but I'm going to take that shot all day for $199, especially when we said a new driver would set you back a lot more. If you look down at these heads, you'll see they're actually quite similar looking. Both have a triaxial carbon weave on top that kind of fades to just a nice black finish at the front. I actually think maybe Kirkland took a little bit of inspiration, we could say, from the Callaway Rogue, maybe the Callaway Maverick, which looks a little bit more similar. But the Callaway Rogue was a really good driver. Danny Willett used this for a very, very long time. In fact, I believe he's only just really taken it out of the bag. He skipped the Epic, he skipped the Maverick, he skipped quite a few big name drivers from Callaway, which I'm sure the Callaway bigwigs absolutely loved him doing, but Yorkshiremen, you can't tell them what to do. So now we look down at the Callaway, very similar head shape, very similar design. Obviously I've got a hazardous 6.5 shaft in here, a really, really nice Project X shaft. So this driver, when new, would have cost around £400. I don't think it was quite the £500 bracket at that time, but you're talking premium shaft, premium grip, premium head, all of which you could argue are in the Kirkland. But let's send this down there and see what the big difference is on this opening hole. So 2 similar strike locations there. The Callaway set off a little bit further left. You can see it was a nice big dip in flight running towards the right hand side of that fairway. I think this might be closer than what we think on this hole, because it was 2 very similar strikes that looked to have finished in similar locations. Let's go and find out. We've got my nemesis hole coming up, which is playing into a stiff breeze with a frozen lake on the left. Then we're going to talk numbers for these clubs and see if you should go second hand or you should go and pick up some ketchup, some loo roll and a driver. Now, one of the big talking points when it comes to these drivers is brand name, brand awareness. What driver do you want in the bag? What driver do you want your friends to see you using? Because I've seen a couple of comments on my videos of this Costco Kirkland signature driver, and people are saying, James, I would never use a Kirkland driver. I would never use the Kirkland glove. I wouldn't use Kirkland balls because I don't want my friends to think I'm using Costco clubs. Other people think these are actually quite cool now, and I'd probably side with those people. I don't think I'd have a full bag because I'm a golf professional. I take pride in what I do and try to get the best equipment for me. But if I'm on a really, really tight budget and I want to get into golf and I want brand new clubs, I certainly wouldn't sniff at the Kirkland clubs. And you see, I find this really interesting because this is something which, as soon as I got my hands on this Costco Kirkland driver, huge thanks to Gabe from Let's Play Through who sent me this through. We're catching up next week in Orlando and I can't wait for that. But so many people wanted to see a comparison with a second-hand product. And I think personally, there's so much value in that second-hand market for people who want great performing golf clubs for a proportion of the price of the new ones from all the big boys. One thing I don't like is when the big brands try to make people make out as though the older products are much worse, because let's face it, you have to go a long way back to find a golf product that's a lot worse than a modern day club, don't you? You're going to see similar ball speeds, you're going to see similar spin rates, as long as you get the right spec, the right shaft, the right loft, the right grip size even, that can make all the difference. This is very interesting because I can see two balls here pretty much neck and neck. They've both run out of fairway in this cold winter's morning here at Woolley Park Golf Club, and realistically they're the same shot. They've gone the same distance. I can tell you which one's which in just a second. I think the Callaway is going to be the left hand one, which is a tiny bit further up there just because of the line it came in on, but that's going to be more reliant on the bounce that it took and everything else. This one is the Kirkland driver and this one is the Callaway. So we're talking 5 yards further up here. We're using the same ball. I'm actually using the PXG balls today because I've been testing these and quite enjoyed them. So the same ball, same conditions, exactly the same shot for me. Callaway's performed a little bit better. Interestingly, when I tested the Kirkland against a brand new Titleist driver, depending on the strike, the Titleist was certainly more forgiving, but the Kirkland, when I got it bang out the middle, was really, really surprising, to be honest, in a good way, which is something which a lot of people probably may not even try this driver, so may not understand how this driver feels or how this driver performs. And that's part of what I think is the charm about this, because I'm a big believer in not only how does a golf club perform, how does it look, how does it feel, but how does it make you feel? How does it make you enjoy the shots you're playing? Because if you can hit tee shots that you really, really enjoy, and you can say to the guys, I bought this next to all those crisps they were handing out and I got a free taste of whiskey. Oh, you got your driver in a pro shop? How 2023 of you. That might amuse some people, it might not amuse others. To be honest, I don't really care, but the club has to perform if you're going to be that guy, if you're going to be the guy who goes head to head against the really, really serious golfer. And if the club does that, that was a terrible Healy strike. You can probably tell that I lost my balance a little bit on that one, but that one's still done okay. It's still up the right hand side. It's not gone left on me, which for me is my bad shot. Let's go Callaway and see just how potentially more forgiving this club could be. This isn't the low spin model. It's not the triple diamond model. It's just got that weight in the back, very similar to the Costco driver we have today. It does feature jailbreak technology, and it also has obviously that triaxial carbon crown, which the Costco has as well. Now this is interesting because they're identical strikes. The Callaway's gone a little bit higher, it's not moved as much in the air, but distance wise I think you're going to be really, really interested as to potentially how close together or not they are. You see, one of the big things that I initially said when I first tested the Kirkland driver was I don't think the big boys are going to be worried about this driver. I don't think that's the market they're going after. I think this is the market they're going after. They're going after the second-hand market at that price point. So I feel like it should perform against something like this. It should hold its own in the spin rate department, hold its own in the ball speed department. Shaft-wise, for anyone who's not seen, the Kirkland driver does feature a rip-tide shaft from Evenflow, quite a nice shaft. I don't think it's the premium Evenflow shaft, but it's certainly not kind of a Kirkland own brand shaft, which would have been a disaster if they tried to do that. And as you can see, the Callaway held its own and is on the right hand side of the fairway. The Costco driver is actually in the right hand rough, a little bit behind it, so realistically there we're going to give it to the Callaway. Two very similar strikes actually. I was surprised just how much movement the Costco driver did have on it, to say it was a little bit of a Healy strike, and I was very impressed with the Callaway as to how much little movement it had on it. But realistically on those hits, I'm taking both of those all day. I can't kind of say that one's better value money for the other because they're both the same price. And so a lot of this test will be subjective as to, do you like buying new things? Do you like getting a little bit of a bargain and buying something second-hand? And also, how much variety do you want to choose from when you are spending your hard-earned money? Because although we did end up with the Callaway Rogue, as you can see, when I was at Golf Clubs for Cash, there was a wide array of golf clubs to choose from for that price point, around $199 or £162, I think it was. Also, you could have lots of different shafts, lots of different loft options, lots of different adjustable heads, whereas at Costco, you've kind of got this bad boy and this only, so you don't get much adjustment. Yes, you can change the loft, you can get a regular shaft if you want, but apart from that, you're kind of stuck with this driver. Is that a bad thing? Potentially not, because are people going to buy these clubs who are established golfers? Maybe a few of you. Are new golfers going to buy this club who want something that potentially will work for them for a period of time, then they'll move it on? I think that's more likely. So I have been testing these clubs for numbers today. Let's have a look at just what the differences in the numbers were. $199 driver from Costco compared to $199 second-hand driver from Golf Clubs for Cash.
And for me, this is probably the area that you're all waiting for. Having tested both these drivers for numbers on the same day on the same hole, I found it really interesting, and I wanted to test them on a hole because I wanted to see if I could keep the ball in play and still generate some quite good numbers. Sometimes I do really enjoy getting the numbers inside in the simulator, but it can be a little bit of a false pretense because you're just hitting it as hard as physically possible. You can see here I've actually hit some really nice drives with both these drivers. Numbers wise, very similar, I think. Rogue's taking it, as you can see, by a couple of yards. It's taking it on the ball speed. The big difference really is the spin rate and the ability to control that spin rate. And generally when you hit up on the ball, you don't have to get it out the toe to lower the spin. You can get it out the middle of the club like you're supposed to, and you're still going to get the distance you want. But realistically here, I think the Kirkland's almost a winner in a strange roundabout way.
And as you can see, very interesting numbers there. The Callaway has just edged it, more to do with the spin rate than anything else. Let's take on this 18th hole. We're going to try and hit these as hard as we can and see which driver can get down there. The line you take here is vital. And that started perfect. It's fading back a little bit. That seems to be the shot of the day for me. That's on the right hand side of the fairway with the Callaway. Let's see what the Kirkland can do on this final hole. It does look good down at the ball for the price. I can't believe how many times I've said that. And that is a carbon copy, so I can't wait to get down there and see where they've finished, because that's probably the fairest comparison we're ever going to have regards to a brand new budget driver and of course a second-hand one at the same price. Guys, I really hope you have enjoyed this video. If you have, smash that subscribe button below. I think I've put them on the right heads. This honestly, this never gets easier. I can't wait to see where they finished. You see, this is the shot that's probably got me the most excited for all the testing I've done with the Costco Kirkland driver, because we're into the wind, it's cold. This obviously isn't a low spin head. The Callaway Rogue isn't a low spin head either. And they were very similar strikes out the heel, very similar, not going to have much ball speed and plenty of spin on them. And that's what we're left with. We have the Costco bang smack in the middle, probably took a better bounce, and the Callaway a little bit further up towards the 150 marker on the right hand side. So the Callaway's done it for distance again on the miss hit. So I think, forgiveness wise, the Callaway is definitely a better prospect.